Thick and chewy, thin and crispy, big and crusty. No, I'm not talking about the guys I've dated. I'm talking about pizza. Today, I'm making gluten-free flatbread with homemade ricotta, homemade pesto, and arugula. It's gonna be awesome. Now, I love pizza. It's one of my favorite comfort foods. And when you go gluten-free, it's hard to find a great pizza dough. So I'm gonna show you a fantastic, versatile pizza dough that you can make at home yourself. I'm going to start blooming some yeast. I've got a half a cup of warm water, and I'm going to add my packet of yeast. You don't want your water too hot. The yeast will actually die. So you wanna have it nice and lukewarm, like a little jacuzzi for your yeast. And you wanna have some party favors for your yeast. So you add a little sugar, and they're gonna munch. They're gonna have some midnight munchies. Hey, Brothers Green. Just give this a good stir and set that aside. I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of my gluten-free flour in there. And to that, I'm gonna add 3/4 of a cup of tapioca starch. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to mimic the gluten that's in pizza dough. And next I'm gonna add some dried buttermilk powder. You can also use non-fat milk powder. And what that's gonna do is add some protein to your dough. Gluten is the bad protein. We wanna replace it with good protein. To that, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of xanthan gum. And my all-purpose gluten-free flour has xanthan gum in it. If yours doesn't, add 2 teaspoons in here. To that, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of agar powder. You can also use unflavored gelatin. This also is gonna help with the, hey, we're gluten, but we're not. You see? See what we're doing here? So to my mixer, I'm going to add my yeast, my apple cider vinegar, and 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Why I'm adding the apple cider vinegar is because it's gonna make your crust nice and crispy. So I'm gonna slowly add my yeast. All right, so it's been a couple minutes and this looks perfect. And this is what you want. It's gonna break apart, not like normal pizza dough, but don't worry. So I've got some extra tapioca starch here that I'm just gonna dust my board with. I'm just gonna take my dough and kind of just give it a good couple kneads. And you don't need to let this rest. Normal pizza dough with regular gluten, you have to let it rest. You have to let the proteins relax. This one, you don't. So it makes it better because you can have pizza in your face quicker. When I was first diagnosed with celiac, I freaked out. Pizza is one of my favorite foods of all time. And it was really hard to find good pizza dough, but nowadays everybody's going gluten-free, and so it's a lot easier to find really yummy deliverable pizza, but it's a lot better when you make it at home. So just like pie dough, you're gonna wanna roll this over your rolling pin very gently, otherwise it's gonna break. Just take my pizza crust and lay it out like so. So I've got my pizza dough here and I'm going to take some olive oil and just give it a good drizzle. You want this flatbread pizza to be nice and crusty. Just got that, just take your hand. Take your salt, just a little bit of salt, pepper, and I'm gonna grab some fresh thyme. And I like to have a lot of flavor in my pizza dough itself because I feel like sometimes pizza lacks flavor. All right, so just a few more. So this is going to go in the oven at 400 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes. So now that my pizza's in the oven, I'm gonna get started on my pesto. So grab my parsley. And normally parsley is not a traditional ingredient in pesto, but my mom and my grandmother used to always make pesto with fresh parsley, and I just think it adds such a beautiful brightness to it. To that, I'm gonna add a bunch of fresh basil. I'm gonna add 2 garlic cloves. And I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna grab a lemon, and I'm adding the lemon just to prevent browning because the basil and the parsley will bruise, and it also adds a really nice clean brightness to your pesto. And now I'm gonna add about a half a cup of olive oil. So just let this run for about 30 seconds. I think my pizza dough is done. Oh, look at that, I have a magical pizza wizard. I'm gonna take a little bit of my pesto and smear it on top. And I'm gonna add some homemade ricotta. If you want to learn how to make ricotta, it's so easy. I've got another video, another how-to video on how to make your own fresh ricotta. And I like using fresh cheese because on this pizza, I'm using a lot of fresh ingredients. I'm trying to make it light, crispy, thin, and smear it around. And then I like to take some fresh arugula. It's one of my favorite greens because it's got this peppery, spicy quality to it that just goes so well with the sweetness of the ricotta and the herbiness of the pesto. So to finish my pizza, I like to shave a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. So I keep talking about this pizza and now I'm hungry, so I'm gonna dig in. What I like to do is just cut this into pieces, and this is great to serve at any party. And don't worry about this being perfect. This is a very rustic dish. Happy dance. That is so delicious. Wow, you get the garlic and the basil and the chewiness of the bread, but a little bit of crispiness at the same time. Add any toppings that you want, but you guys, seriously, try this combination. Mind blown. My name is Alex. This has been Gluten-Free with Alex T, and I hope to see you guys next week.